it's Yiyagod. Welcome back. Oh my goodness gracious, you're still here. How? I'm glad. That's my awakening. That's the welcoming for any member. Our name is. So anywho, my wild animals, how you doing today? Great, awesome, me too. Today we're doing backgrounds and background scenes with perspective. We absolutely gonna die. So first things first, this background I wanted to be very pretty, atmospheric, like a beautiful forest that was contaminated by a tower because that's one of her powers. And if you watch the last video of how I created Callie, you will know about her powers, her weapons, what she do, and all this kind of stuff. So the background wanted to be peaceful, this peaceful, beautiful forest, and it's just kind of destroyed by this desert, but it looks beautiful, which is very sad, kind of, because this background is gonna be totally lost after. But what are you doing here, cat? Say hi, Sakura. Hi. You hear her? Yeah, she's hello. She just wanna be here to do cuddles. Oh well, you know how cats are. So even though this background, as I did say, is gonna get lost by the battlefield, I like to practice at the same time because this is like the first time I tackle backgrounds. I usually don't do backgrounds, but it was I toggle a lot of stuff. I toggle a little bit of perspective, foreground with background with middle ground, and I was toggling everything, the sky, a whole lot of stuff that I never had tackled before. So, wish me good luck in this battlefield. So, another thing, this has to feel like the ambient always, or the scenery in the back of all my battles. I want it to be calm, beautiful, because nature don't change. Nature stay beautiful and amazing. What changes is the battle. So the battle is this very structured, horrible thing, but like the scenery is beautiful. So that's kind of like I really wanted to do. I'm gonna use a lot of heavy lights. Like you're gonna see a lot of source of lights. Very how's it you call that sound down? A sound down. It's gonna be look amazing, so amazing that you're gonna be sad. It's gonna be destroyed by the battlefield with the light is gonna be so beautiful. So well, anyways. This is the aftermath of an insane battle where one of the heroes became victorious. It's also the third time you see Kali in the story. I said this, and actually she came out from under the dirt because one of her powers is to put a lot of sand all over the area so she can like move under the sand like something like that. Sorry about the special effects, I'm really bad at it, but I hope it entertains. It's very funny that despite I love rock and metal, I love to do these beautiful colors in everything I do. And the cape is one of the main protagonists in this scene, so I need to make it very pretty. Sakura, get out of there, get out, shoot. This is an interaction of my cat. She is just all over my studio, walking in places where she shouldn't walk. My goodness. Hopefully, with no more interactions on my cat. As I was saying, I wanted to make the cape a protagonist of this scenery too, so the cape needed to look amazing and beautiful. It's one of the main themes of this whole drawing. Scene is also set up after she used her final power, making the Tower of Babel. So her special final Babel Tower is as soon as you summon it, it creates the Tower of Babel, and as soon as it's created, it's a strike by God and buries anything that is inside and outside. It will cause the effects of earthquakes, and the sound will become dangerous. An avalanche of sound would consume all. As you see, with this power, she was able to take out down a bunch of her enemies in here, and because she's human, well, she's fighting for the humans' rights. Now, the warriors in my story are very much like the police or the military, and basically they're one of the things they do is take care of invaders, criminals, and try to protect their area. And sometimes they're conquered by other areas to protect other countries, and so and so. You do need a license to become one of these warriors, and to acquire also these special weapons. So in this, some people illegally can get weapons by legal means to cause chaos. Eh, you know how it is. When creating the background, I was looking for a picture of a desert, sandstorm, but also the valley, since this battle takes in a valley in her power sandstorm base. I need to look for this kind of stuff to make, a valley but invaded by a sandstorm. So those were the reference I look for, just sandstorms, and I kind of combine and make it a collage out of it. When I started inking the drawing, I believe it wasn't that good until I was putting the colors, so just bear with me a little bit. A line work in the background also it was very much more like a guideline for me, but I kind of wanted to have an idea where I was gonna put the stuff because backgrounds looks better without lines. So I put some, but not too many kind of like basically nothing there. The sky was somewhat problematic. It took me like a lot of times, but I finally got with a good results that I really wanted. I used a watercolor tool and a marker tool and a pencil and the spray with the effect of the cloud spray brush to get this effect. This took many tries until I got it right by looking the reference back and forward all the time until I got it just how I wanted. Some people don't like to use different tools, but I thrive and live by the mixed media whole thing. Like in real life, I use different tools. In digital, I did use different brushes to get the results I want. Okay, I live for it. Live in drawing and practicing different things at the same time. Like, you do the background, the foreground, the effects and everything. Like, I practice a bunch of stuff here, so that's really good and it helps me a lot. Now it tells me that I'm really good at backgrounds, even though I was not expecting that. But maybe was just a slide. There might be one that I'm not really good at it. So as you see over here, the background of the sky did took me a lot to struggle. I had to use some purples, grays, oranges, yellows, just to get in somewhat an effect I wanted. It was just difficult. This was truly one of the most difficult parts of this drawing, making these colors like show. At this moment, I was not happy at all for what I was doing. I was just gonna concerned. I was like, why is this not coming out as good? At that I had to like change of strategy. I was trying to like truly figure out what I was doing wrong. I went a lot of back and forward, and I think this is the part when I end up kind of know how I wanted it, but I had to add more stuff. So I used like the spray brush in small quantities and the cloud too, in small areas to get close to the effect I needed it at this moment. And it was a lot of back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. And at one point, I even keep up completely, as you see, and erased that completely, and came back to it with more inspiration because that day I just got blocked. So I redid it. I erased it completely and redid it. And this second try, it was more close to what I wanted. So it was more in those clear colors of like the sky, and it looks like a painting. And I was like more happy with it, and I had to add more and more lights and more um, clouds in the sword. It was a whole back and forth everything, blending that blending that blend. Then I didn't like at all the lines how they were looking. It was kind of like destroying the whole vibe. But at the end, I was like, okay, we got it. Now we are more in something I like, something that I actually would love to see. I think it actually did it more times than this one, but I didn't record it because when I struggle too much and it's like a lot of times you see me back and forward, what I do is just erase it. This part actually was more easy. I thought it was gonna take me some time, but no, it's basically the eye of God over there just hanging around. Thanks to the Tower of Babel. Just there. That's why you see a second light source, is because of that. Then it became time for the holy light. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You always had to put the holy light. It's just looking at it. You looking at it. It's so cool. And then it was time for painting all the sand and the trees and then the whole the part of the nature, because at this point I only have the sky. So as always, I start with my watercolors, putting like kind of like the base, the idea of where the colors will go, and then I had to use my how's it called, that green tool that grabs everything. I don't know the name, but that tool. I use that tool to grab almost everything and make sure it was on point. And once I was happy with the colors, I started adding some effect with watercolor and redid the tower because I was not happy how it was kind of the same tone. It kind of did had to be the same tone but different, if you get what I'm saying. It had to have like a kind of different separation vibe from the rest. And I just keep adding golds and browns and golds and brown until I got in a happy medium. And I like to add first my browns of in all my colors in watercolors first, just to give a clear base. Because usually what happens sometimes to me with ink, just ink, the normal brush everybody use, um, it kind of like some areas stay mini white for some reason. This is why I don't like the bucket. I don't understand why, but yeah, that kind of happens time to time. So that's why I use a watercolor brush to make sure everything is absolutely everything is covered. And here I was struggling if I really like those grass brush. This is why I say I don't like other type of brushes, effect brushes. I only like the cloud and the chains. The rest I don't really like them. I kind of went like with the grass. I think like the grass is kind of iffy over there too. Something. And now I'm starting to put markers, just kind of deepening these shadows, deepening like the different textures of this tower. This complete at this point is destroyed. It does build completely up, but then it got destroyed. Always it gets destroyed. It gets destroyed as soon as it burns. And as I add my little um shadows of marker and texture, I was kind of analyzing where else it needed some shadows. I think I use another brush to give it another effect. I think it was the paint brush. In some areas I give it another effect to make it different, and it make all the trees look good. I really am pleased how the trees came out in the mountains. This part didn't take me as much a struggle as the sky. The sky was absolutely something different, a whole different mustard from everything else. My voice is quite dry now at this point because this is a really long video, one of my longest. So I'm just gonna leave you there to chill a little bit with the music. This is one of my least interactive videos, as you see, because like this was a lot. Around here is when I start using pencils, the pencil brush, to give those little tiny details here and there. Pop, pizzazz, pizzazz, pizzazz. It's really sad that all this background is gonna be covered. That's why I'm glad I didn't erase these layers or anything. I don't know, it's a really pretty background, and I print the background too. I have it in my folder right now, which I buy too. I have plenty enough to keep these backgrounds and save them because they're part of the story. This is one area of the world right now. Can I pin a point on it? You know what? Let me look on my data. They are ubicated in Mayor. This is the city of law and order. So it's at the very bottom south. And how I can explain you the map, which one day I had to show fully, is the kind of graph America, center, south, and north, and put it in the, like in the lower, like flip it, sideways, and then you get it like more down. It's kind of weird, but anyways, I created like a whole different system around that. Mayor is a big city with a lot of law and order, like I did explain before. What is curious is at top of Mayor there is the city of another city, the area called Cabos, which is really big but very poor. And more on top of that, there's this little small country where most of the story will be, which is used to be called Norins. No, no. You- Damn, I messed up my own lord. This is why I'm trying to write oh my lord, because it's like a lot. But okay, restart. On top of Cabos, just a little more up, is this little small country. It's really small. I would say, mm, I would say as big as Texas, roughly. As big as Texas, or no, actually more. Hmm, it's different. It's like very visible from far, but it's like small compared to the other ones. So let me try to get it, half of Brazil. There you go. It's like half of the size of Brazil. That's like I think a good comparison. So it's not too big, not too small. And this little country is what's called Ebris. And certain time, the factions, monsters, humans, and mix because they used to hang out together quite well. But they have conflicts of culture and race and law. So they and also another thing they affect their conjoin or union, and it was like this virus that really exploded. So they start to throw bags into each other. So for example, humans, or not example, what did it happen was the humans really got really bad, and the monsters and the mix supposed to help on this, but they didn't really help. Then the monsters kind of like went their own way and created their own medicine and didn't help with them, which they need the medicine. And then the mix kind of were like left in the background. They kind of did their own business. They kind of just stole the recipe from the monsters, which the monsters didn't were pleased, but they were not like cheering. So like this really silly, not silly, this complicated issue way overboard for what it's supposed to be. And since then, Ibris completely divided. It's not called Ibris anymore. So now it's divided in between Norins, Trying, and Fiascas. Fiascas being the name of the story, but it's also actually one of the countries. And Fiascas is where the humans live, Trines are where the mixed lives, and Norins is where all the monsters live, so they're just literally divide between races, and that's it. So as I start touching the foreground, you're gonna notice that the background I want it to look natural, calm, relaxing, beautiful, and contrast to the chaos is in the front, the destruction, bloody, horrible. I don't wanna use that much special brushes. I don't think they help that much. Some I like the cloud brush, because look, it works like a sponge. The cloud brush truly works more like a sponge. And the sparkles, I really like the sparkles for every time I'm gonna put 3D sparkles everywhere or metals. It's really good. And the chain brush, time to time works. It's kind of, I don't know. There are occasions you are better off doing it yourself, and there are occasions where the chain um, brush does work in Clip Studios. It's like a 50-50 for me. Is to make the scene come full turn to look very similar to my characters. I add black lines and white lines to make it be seamless and one with my character in the same, environment and area, which is not something very easy to do sometimes. I always use as a base white to help me have a clear area where it goes without missing a spot, because white is so prominent. When I paint and leave some spot, I can see it very clear, like this big white spot in the middle of nowhere. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me clear that. I really don't like to use all the colors. I really like to use just white as my base color. As you see, I use a little bit of the eraser to like add some type of effect to this painting. Honestly, where I took it more time was with the sky and some effects that I needed to add here and there. Now, when I got to her, I got into a little bit of dilemma because of the print specifically. It was really complicated to do it on her with the type of paint I use, or the one specifically I use in here, which is very similar to real life. I use watercolor to put like a soft base to cover all those areas. Then I use markers to enfocate the shadows, and then pencils for details. But doing that with a print is a little more complicated, but I figure out how to do it. First thing I did is grab the two prints she have and put it on perspective to give me a clear idea of where I needed to put. Now I prefer to tile first things that are more easy, and since the cape print was more easy, that was really easy to do. All I needed to do, and basically it was mostly because it was one flat color. If it were multiple colors, that would got a little more complicated. So all I did was just to put this layer on multiply because it's red and it still looks sharp and bright, and it mixed with the already shadows that I did in watercolor and pencil. For the second pattern was more complicated, so follow me with this. There was a lot of textures and it was not showing, as I told you, with just multiply. So there was a bunch of stuff I needed to do. So follow me with this really slow. And I was really there just pushing buttons and pushing everything to figure out how to do it. I was not giving up. My thing is push buttons until we make it work. Something had to work, and God knows I made it work. So, as I did say, if your print is on top of a flat color, in this case the cape was gold, and put just a red print, that's easy. Just put multiply in the print, use the pen brush, and your textures that you did in your other layer, they're gonna show. This perfect, it's fine. The second one, the detail print, now that you have to use the saturation layer with the color gray. The reason we do this gray area is because where you're gonna put the print needs to be gray so it can show the other colors you're gonna do on top of it, which you have to put an overlay. This with the saturation layer will make it pop for the colors, just as you see here. If you got white like me in this print, just use your normal brush, paint, and put it on it, and then your shadow multiply layer should get the work done in very fast, because it's a plain layer without too many prints or stuff going on. Little detail how to do prints with textures does help. I know it's a little complicated, but I hope it helps for in the future any other print you want to do with textures you already did. It took multiple times like you see here, but I got it. Once I was done with it, it was time to work on all the tiny details, some hints or some things more bigger that people can think in the background, just some stuff there that you might or might not think something of it. I don't know. It's a puzzle. Figure out. I'm not telling you nothing. To be honest, the most challenging part of this drawing was the sky and the print, but once I did, everything clicked. The light, the scenery. I think it tells a story, a place about these people and the culture. But what do you think? Did I really did a good job, or I could have done it better? For shadows, I'm not sure if this is how other people do, but at least me, when it works for me is that put the shadow layer on multiply. I choose a color, gray color that is not too dark, neither too light, right there in the middle, just right. Now, since you got to mar the background for so long, say goodbye to it because it's gonna die. And everywhere, and victims everywhere, everything destroyed, smashed under the summoning on the Tower of Babel with sun everywhere. God himself strike the tower, and nobody's allowed to reach the heavens without going the trials of life. Now the foreground was really easy. All I needed to do is put a bunch of sand and well the people, they're not alive. To put it like that. And I think this shark sword is so funny. I'm not sure why they compelled me to do it. I just think it's funny. More destructive party is coming. Blood. So much blood. Blood, blood. It looks beautiful. The extraction and beauty all in one. Just how I want it to be. The plating for misery. But she's not gonna keep it now. The took her to her breaking point, and she will not forget. Hell no. Only the hunter of the desperate souls. Well, that's all, my animals of art. I hope you have a blessed day and enjoy this drawing. Thank you so much for watching the video, and make sure to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or subscribe right here on YouTube. Whatever is better for you. See you next week. Bye bye.